welcome to We're Married, What Now, episode 2. And Happy New Year's Eve.
What's up, y'all?
Alright, you guys, as we talked about in our
first official episode yesterday, it's like yesterday when you saw this, but the first video, introductory video, this is where we're diving in.
So in the introductory video, we were talking about how Josh and I started reading The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. So we're going to go over the first chapter that we read along of the different things that we heard while reading it. And if you want to put in any of your opinions or what you might have heard while reading it that was something different than ours, please comment below and let us know because we'd like to hear some feedback. So the first chapter was really about Gary Chapman. He's this marriage counselor and he's on this plane, and the person that was sitting next to him, they were just introducing themselves, saying, hey, what do you do for a living? And Gary said that he's a marriage counselor. So he brought up something that probably all of us wonder, I find, is that what happens to love and to your relationship after you're married? Josh, you know what the statistics are for people that are married?
I think it's at least 50%, maybe even 60% of marriages end in divorce.
We don't want that, and we want to do everything we can to prevent it. So
yeah, because the guy who was talking to on the plane had already been divorced, 3 times?
Yeah,
or 3 marriages.
3 marriages and 3 divorces.
Yeah, so it's like, and he was wondering,
how does that stop? He thinks that he's doing the right things. He thinks that, he's trying to be the best husband that he can, but they all end up in divorce.
And he was talking about like how you prevent feeling empty or like just being over the marriage and just being like done.
Because he basically asked him like, okay, if I've done this 3 times and I can't get it right each time, do the people that have those long marriages, are they just living in emptiness to where they don't have that love anymore, but they haven't decided to divorce and just live in that emptiness in their house and in their relationship?
And I don't think so. Obviously, and I'm sure the book is going to talk more about it and Katie's going to talk more about it, but it's like, I don't think they're living in emptiness. I just think and obviously we just got married 2 months ago or a month and some change ago, but I think the key is doing stuff like this and doing stuff like we're doing now and putting work into it. So obviously I don't know what it's gonna feel like in 5 or 10 years, but I feel like being proactive is what's gonna help to avoid the emptiness and doing all that, because there's resources out there. You just gotta do the resources. To me, you got to partake in things. Anyways, go.
Yeah. So in the book, there's the 5 love languages. There's quality time, acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation, and physical touch.
It's actually a perfect partnership because you're very scripted and planned, and I'm freestyle everything. So this works great. I'll pull us off topic.
So do you do
talk right now, and you get us back on and keep us on schedule and make sense. Oh man, this is gonna be awesome. All right.
So those are the 5 different love languages, and what I think he's going to be teaching us here is how to communicate effectively with those love languages, which I'm really excited because I think we obviously are reading along with you guys, so whenever we're talking, we're learning along. So I'm excited to see with what my love language is, which I think that I kind of have an idea what Josh's is, but I'm excited to see what, whenever we actually do the test, what our language is.
What's my love language? Me too, though. Yeah, I'm excited because makes sense. I've done with business stuff and sales, you do a lot of personality tests and personality profiles and what your preferred thinking types are. So it's gonna be cool to see what our love languages are, because it makes sense. Katie and I are really different, and it's nothing wrong with me not being the way Katie is. There's nothing wrong with Katie not being the way I am. It's just we are coded differently. Our genetics are different, and then our upbringing is different. Not saying these parents are better, these parents are worse, or things that happen. It's just things that have happened in our lives that have shaped our lives are different, and the way we're genetically coded is different. So the way her brain works is going to be different than mine. There's 5 love languages, right? It doesn't mean hers is right and mine is wrong or vice versa. It's just like...
It's learning how to communicate with each other, because something that I may do, like I personally think that mine is acts of service, and I'll find that out later in the book. But that may not be Josh's. So if I want to try to communicate my love to him by cleaning the house, folding his laundry, that's not going to be something that he understands. That's going to be me.
She may clean the house or something, like do all the laundry for me while I'm working on a video or something, and think like, to her, she's thinking like, I just did all this stuff for him.
I can't wait for him to see it.
I can't wait for him to notice and tell me thank you and just really appreciate it, because if it was me and he did the laundry, I would be so happy. In actuality, I may not even notice or care.
No.
But it's like, I said that wrong. It's not because I don't care. It's just because
that's not his language.
Yeah.
He's not going to understand something that is not his primary love language.
Yeah, so like I may like realize that she did the laundry, but I may not even realize like what she put into it.
Or
what
why did I do it?
Why did she do it?
Right.
Because I was focused on doing something else. Like if we never would go through this book, she may start to harbor that and resent me for not realizing what she does to clean or whatever else. Or if I didn't learn from the book that she's going through all this effort to do that for me, I may never realize like what it means to her, you know, because it doesn't mean as much to me, just being that we have different ways of thinking. So by doing the things like this book, you can recognize it more when it's something we could have easily skipped over, and I probably have skipped over in the years that we've been together. But now in our marriage, you know, doing these things, and in our relationship, doing these things and noticing these things could take us a lot further and get rid of some of those problems that we may face, that a lot of people face from the beginning, because we're being proactive.
Right, being able to detect it before.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that Gary Chapman's, you know, his neighbor on the plane, he was saying like, there's so many self-help books, magazines, audiobooks, all that to be able to help marriages, like 20 ways to keep your man at home, or like any of that. But why are all of those things there, but yet there are still so many divorces and so many unhappy marriages? And I think, you know, whenever you're reading those things, you're trying to think of like, okay, what can I do? What's a different way that I can do different things? Instead of having your main focus on you and your actions, but what are you needing to do for your spouse to where they're understanding your love language and how you're going to be able, or how they're going to understand yours and you're going to understand theirs.
Yeah.
Not that it's not helpful. It's just that the main fundamental that we need to have, or that we're missing, I feel, is going to be that we're not understanding what our spouse's primary love language is. It's not that they're not helpful or that they're not useful. It's that we're not really focusing on the main thing that we need to be focusing on.
Like you said, you don't understand it. It's because it's not because you can't get it. Well, I mean, it is kind of. It's because you don't understand it, because y'all are two different people and you have two different love languages, or two different preferred thinking types, or two different just ways of thinking, two different perspectives. Katie and I will always, like, we can look at the same sentence and see something different.
Right. Because
it's the way our brains process it. So it's like, how can we not understand each other? Well, or how can we not understand the thing that we're going through, or each other? It's because we literally don't understand it. Or because a better way to say it is we understand it in different ways. Right.
It's that we have each a different primary love language. So we can't rely on our native love language to be able to make our spouse happy, or not necessarily make them happy, but, you know, be able to fulfill what they're needing to be fulfilled. Fill their buckets and what your role is as a wife or as a husband, because we have those different roles. So I think this book is going to help us to define what our role is and how do we perfect or try to perfect our role as a husband or wife. Being like, what is your role as a wife? What is your role as a husband? In our household, it's going to be a lot different than our neighbor's household. So it's not going to be black and white. As a wife, you need to do this, this, and this. As a husband, you need to do this, this, and this. It's going to be finding out what are we needing to do that is specifically for our marriage, because each marriage is going to be completely different. And that's why I'm excited to be able to put this online, have other people communicate with us, because we're going to be learning a lot different things than what you may learn from the book or what you may learn from our podcast or video. So that's why I'm excited to see the different inputs that we get whenever, people start watching them.
So yeah, that's wrapping it up for this episode. Hopefully you were able to take something away from that. We are still working on ebbs and flows of how we're going to do this, but I kind of like it that way. We're just going to Katie's very good at researching and making lists and notes and being organized, and I'm terrible at all those things. Or actually, I'm not terrible at them. I just don't I don't like doing it. Yeah, like the same way we're talking about love languages. Like her preferred way of thinking is organization, structure, planning, all those things. Mine is much more
stressful.
Vision. Mine's much more like visionary into the future, big picture thinking. I'm bad at
go with the flow.
Yeah, go with the flow very much. That's a lot more how my brain works. So like, I think it's good that we're able to plan a little bit and read together and go over things together, but then also go over it live in front of the camera.
Yeah, because this was our first time talking about it.
Yeah, we just have like real reactions and real thoughts about it. So anyways, I think it's going to work good together. But yeah, we're still kind of working out the kinks. This is episode 2. As we speak, I'm going to post the introductory episode, and then this one is going to be up to follow that, and then episode 3 will be up next week.
And we're going to be going over chapter 2 of the 5 love languages.
Yeah, so we'll probably do a few episodes in regards to this book until we finish it out. We'll talk about it. We may have other topics in between, and then we'll go on to the next project or next book or game or date night or whatever it may be. But yeah, you could expect more books, more devotionals. We're going to have date night things here, fun dates that you can do together, fun games that you can do as a couple. Today that we're filming it is New Year's Eve, ending 2017, going into 2018. So Katie had a good point today about that she just posted about on our Instagram and Facebook. So I'm going to let you talk about that real quick.
We had just finished out at OSC, and Pastor Chris had made a really good point about, instead of looking at what we wish we could have accomplished, how much, further in life or further in our job, or we didn't get that promotion that we were striving for this year. And instead of doing that, we can rejoice on what happened. So Josh and I, we got married. We got baptized this year.
Serving at the church.
Yeah, started on the dream team, started serving at the church, and all just making it, helping us to be in that community of Christians. So
yeah, it's like two ways you could look at it. Like we could dwell on the things that went bad this year, like different things that happened like financially or with business or this or that, or you could like pick it apart and try to find things that like
what can I do better next year.
Yeah, and I see a lot of stuff on social media, like even 2016, 2017, like people say, oh, I'm so ready to be done with this year, this and this happened, like 2017 was terrible, here's to 2018, drinks to 2018, so sorry. But like I see that's true. I see that a lot on social media though, and it's just kind of like you're choosing to focus on the negative part, like instead of focusing on things like Katie said, like the good things, like you were able to see God move in 2017. If you focus on that, like also like just simple facts that like, hey, I was able to live through 2017. Like we lost friends in that year, we lost relatives. I'm sure a lot of us have. I was able to live through 2017. I'm able to say that I lived in 2018, being that tomorrow is January 1st. So like, just be excited and be grateful about the things you got to do. Hey, like...
And look for what God has done, because God did move mountains. You just might have missed it.
You just may be looking at the wrong things. Like, don't focus on the bank account and the car and the house and this and that. Like, all those things are great, but like, all that stuff also ends. Like, we're trying to do stuff that lives on. Legacy is very important to me and to us, and that we just went over a series of that in our church, but like thinking of our spiritual bank account and not necessarily the US dollars or the Bitcoins or this and that, like all that stuff is great and that's fun, but that's very temporary. So looking at different things, the people around us, our family, experiencing things like that, not focusing on keeping up with the Joe Blows or the Joe Blow Joneses.
Do that again.
Yeah, so focusing on things that matter and just like reprogramming yourself to what things actually matter. Of course,
unlearning.
Yeah, unlearning and start living by faith. So I'm not saying all these things are easy, but starting to think about those things instead of thinking about the material things or the failures. Reframing your mind and starting to get really grateful and grounded. And like I said, one last final thought. choosing to focus on the positive. So with that H2O sip and with that last thought, I think that's a good place to wrap up for today. From us, from our new We're Married, What Now? Episode 2. Katie and I just want to wish y'all a happy new year.
And we will see y'all in 2018.
Whoa, hey.
Hey guys, welcome to We're Married, Now What? Episode 2.
Redo hits married, we're married, what now? Cut. We're not gonna stick to a perfect script, so.
No, I know. It's
yeah,
okay.
I'm just saying, dealing with me, I'm unscripted, all right?
Okay.
I'm unscripted.
Titty.
Sorry, we're wasting battery. Yeah, cut. Stop talking. Nah, yeah.
Keeping up with the Joneses.